wasn't born in greatness. I was abandoned in silence. No war drums announced my arrival. No stars aligned. No prophecy whispered my name. They looked past me like I was invisible. Like I didn't bleed the same. Like I wasn't even real. No hand reached for me. No voice spoke my name with pride. No eyes saw potential. Only inconvenience. No one cared if I sank. As long as I sank quietly. I wasn't chosen. I was left behind. Discarded like an unfinished sentence. Forgotten before I had a chance to begin. They gave me scraps and expected me to smile. They expected gratitude for crumbs. They expected obedience in exchange for nothing. They threw me into the dark and called it discipline. Not once did they ask if I was okay. Not once did they wonder what silence was doing to me. Not once did they notice the weight I carried, because I carried it quietly. They gave me nothing, not even a reason. But that's the thing about nothing. It echoes. And in that echo, I heard the first growl of something they couldn't silence. I heard the first rumble beneath my ribs. I heard something louder than their words. Hunger. Hunger sharp enough to cut bone. Hunger deep enough to swallow guilt. Hunger cruel enough to become purpose. They never gave me a name. So I carved one into the walls they locked me behind. They never gave me a chance. So I made the world my opponent and started swinging. They fed me silence, but I learned how to feast on it. And now, every time they speak my name, it tastes like regret. They thought their silence would drown me. It only taught me to scream louder. Every shove carved defiance into my spine. Every insult, a matchstick. Every locked door, another wall I learned to punch through. They mocked the quiet in me, not knowing it was the storm gathering breath. You see, I wasn't born angry. I was made that way. By every betrayal that tasted like patience. By every lie disguised as love. They feared I'd break. I feared I wouldn't, because the moment I did, they'd meet the version of me they weren't ready for. I wasn't weak. I was restrained, chained by loyalty, tamed by the hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd change. But hope is a slow-burning poison, and I spat it out the day I realized I was waiting for ghosts to apologize. I was a fire they tried to smother with shame. They poured guilt on my spark, threw doubt on my ember. They covered me in dirt, thinking darkness would end me. But fire feeds on oxygen, and betrayal gives it plenty to burn. Every "you'll never be enough" became a reason to set the sky on fire. Every "stay down" just made me want to rise louder, harder, hotter. They thought I'd fade. Instead, I turned into a blaze. They tried to bury me, but I was already underground, building my throne beneath their feet. Brick by blood-soaked brick. And now, they're choking on the smoke of a fire they started, but could never control. Some nights, I believed them, not because they were right, but because they were relentless. Whispers become wounds if you listen long enough. I stared into the mirror and didn't recognize the thing looking back. Not a man, not a monster, just a shadow, stitched together from every time I was told I'd never be enough. I became a ghost in my own skin, haunted by doubt, chained to the echo of voices I didn't even believe in, but couldn't stop hearing? What if they were right? What if I really was just noise, not signal? A storm with no lightning, a blade with no edge. That's the kind of madness they don't warn you about. The kind that doesn't scream, but whispers over and over. You're not real. You're not ready. You're not worthy. I didn't just fight them. I fought me. I fought the version of myself they built. The obedient one. The one that asked permission to breathe. The one that waited to be chosen instead of choosing himself. Even shadows have edges, and mine, it began to cut through the lies, cut through the guilt, cut through the version of me that still needed their validation, because that's where real power begins, when you stop begging for someone to see you and start seeing yourself. I killed the part of me that needed their belief and buried it in the mirror. Now when I look into the glass, it doesn't reflect who I was. It reflects who I had to become to survive them. And he doesn't blink. They left me with nothing. So I started building with my pain. No sympathy, no forgiveness, no savior coming down to lift me up. Just me and the ruin they left behind. So I gathered every scar like a blueprint, every wound a measurement, every betrayal a tool, and I began to build, not a home, but a throne. I carved a kingdom out of scars. Each cut became a wall, each bruise a pillar. Each night I didn't sleep, another brick set in place. I turned loneliness into strategy, silence into vision, anger into fuel. Their cruelty was the architect, but I laid every brick myself. My hands bled, my bones cracked, but I never paused, because the moment I stopped, the ghosts would return. No help, no shortcuts, no mercy. They had rules, rules designed to keep men like me beneath their boots. But I studied their game, their moves, their hierarchy, their lies. And then I did the one thing they feared most. I rewrote the rules. In blood, not with ink, not with promises, with vengeance, with memory, with discipline so cold, it burned hotter than any fire they tried to drown me in. Now I build empires from the ashes they thought would bury me. I don't ask for a place at their table. I built a different table, one made from the bones of every no I was handed. And when I sit alone, because no one else was there when the blueprint was drawn in blood. They called me nothing. Now I rule everything they worship. I wasn't meant to sit on their throne. I wasn't meant to rise. I was meant to kneel, stay quiet, fade out. Just another broken body beneath their boots. But I didn't kneel, I didn't break, and I damn sure didn't fade. My name now echoes through halls they'll never walk, etched in stone where theirs have been erased, spoken in whispers, not because they forget me, but because they fear me. The hands that once pointed at me, they tremble when I enter. The mouths that mocked me, they're silent now, or busy rewriting history, trying to claim they believed in me all along. I'm not asking for recognition. I'm taking what they never offered, because I've learned. Crowns are not handed out. They're ripped from the heads of those who thought they were untouchable. I didn't climb their ladder. I shattered it, rung by rung, until there was nothing left to ascend but the ashes. Their world was never meant for me. It was built to keep me out, keep me small, silent, obedient. So I did what they feared most. I burned it down, brick by brick, lie by lie. I turned it to rubble, and from that rubble, I built mine. This throne was never gifted. It was earned with rage, with scars, with cold, calculated vengeance. And now that I sit alone, not because I lack allies, but because no one else was willing to walk through hell just to build a kingdom. They remember me now, but it's too late. Too late to take back what they said. Too late to erase the silence. Too late to offer what I never needed. Their statues crumble. Mine stands, carved in storms, etched in fire, bathed in everything they feared I'd become. I didn't just survive. I outlived. I outlasted. I outbled every name they raised above mine. They thought I was a phase, a flicker, an echo. But I became the silence that deafened them all. My kingdom wasn't inherited. It wasn't gifted. It was taken, brick by brutal brick, layered with discipline, sealed with fury, and crowned in spite. I didn't walk into a legacy. I built one from shattered dreams, from sleepless nights, from bones, theirs and mine. There are no apologies here, no forgiveness, no rewrites, only monuments made of memory and ash, a graveyard of the old world. And I'm the storm that buried it. No crown was passed to me. I forged it from rusted chains, from every no they spit in my face, from every closed door I kicked off its hinges. This isn't redemption. This is reclamation. This isn't peace. This is silence, earned, sharp, and absolute. They gave me nothing, no name, no crown, no place at their table. I built everything, my name, my kingdom, my legacy, and now I take everything back, not because I need it, but because it always should have been mine.